Week 8 begins, and I am ready for the season to end. I said it. This is a very important episode in terms of the series as a whole, but in terms of an individual episode, it didn't impress me. It was boring. Oh, it was so dull. Why? Why? Okay, so we have Steven. He's the gay character, right? And he's sleeping with somebody else's wife, and then she kind of feels guilty about it, and she doesn't feel guilty about it for quite a long time. And then she's like, okay, I need to make my family my priority. And so she does that, but that's not before Lindsay, her daughter, finds out that she's done this. And so Lindsay's able to forgive Daddy, Matthew. And it was interesting because in episodes in the previous weeks, she was on Mommy's side, Claudia, and she had a tension with Daddy, and this is the reversal. So that's interesting. Something that I just picked up on. The other thing, I'm going to make a prediction. I don't know where the storyline is heading. They made this big fight with Lindsay not wanting to be with Mom and Dad the end of the episode. My prediction is because Claudia came from a mental institution, that they are building up sending Lindsay there. Poor Lindsay. She's had a lot of crap thrown at her this season, a potential rape, mommy and daddy issues, lots of issues. Mommy was away for a while and came back in the pilot in oil. Oh gosh, it's just this poor girl. I feel the worst for her. I like her. I like her character a lot. I think she's one of the most realistic characters on the show. Fallon is having marriage issues. She doesn't really want to be married to Jeff. And she doesn't want to leave Daddy's house. And Jeff wants to leave Daddy's house because he feels bad about being intimate with his wife in his stepfather's house. No, his father-in-law's house. Which, I mean, who wouldn't feel awkward about that? But yeah, so then Fallon goes and runs to the driver, and they are very, very intimate with each other. And then Daddy, Blake, finds out and gets the driver beaten. Yeah. And really, besides that, not much happened this episode. Oh, wait, I forgot to mention. Steven left. He is out of Daddy's house. He's trying to be his own man. Daddy somehow finds out that Steven is sleeping with a married woman. And that makes Daddy very, very happy because he's no longer sleeping with men for the moment. But I have a feeling that will change, but who knows? This was the 80s. Things changed all the time on television in the 80s. Let me talk about the importance of this episode in terms of the scope of the series. The first thing, and this is probably the biggest thing, actually, because it affects every episode following this. You know how I've talked in weeks past about the to be continued moment, which was at the end of every episode in the past, and it was this big, ooh, this is the end of the episode. And I don't know, I think various weeks I've liked it and disliked it. This week, the card was gone. And I read that the card is gone for the rest of the series. Now, this is, timing-wise, this is a very odd change. because I'm a little confused why they didn't just keep it until the end of the first season. But, it's fine. It's kind of like there's been a couple of changes that have already been made that affect the entire rest of the series. Like when they switched the title card, Dynasty, in the main titles from white, which it was for the first couple of weeks, to yellow, which is, again, the rest of the series. It's always going to be in yellow. And again, I was a little confused as to why they made that change in the middle of the first season. It's very odd timing wise, but I like the change. I think it makes the show a little bit classier to not have to be continued at the end of the episode. It's very reminiscent of how Dallas ends their episodes. But we'll get to Dallas in a little bit. The other thing is Walter, who was a main character this season, and he gets a main title credit, although he's listed as a special guest star. Dale Robertson, this was his last episode of the series ever. Now, for nighttime soaps, because the majority of these lasted a very long time, you get quite a lot of cast change throughout the years. You usually have a core of about 4 or 5 people that were there from the beginning that last like 5 or 6 years. But this is the first cast change for this show. So the producers, there are multiple things that could have happened. They either determined the character wasn't working out, that there was nowhere else to go with the character. Maybe Dale Robertson didn't want to do it anymore. Maybe Dale Robertson didn't feel like he was well enough to do it. I don't know. I'm not sure the reason why Dale left or was let go. Personally, I liked the Walter character, but I am okay with the idea of this being the end of his story arc on Dynasty. And you know what's interesting is that you can already tell they're making changes to try to tweak the show. It's a little odd that it's happening over the course of the season, not after, because this is a fairly short season as it is. But yeah, am I excited for next week's episode? I am intrigued. I'll say that. I'm intrigued to see what they do with Lindsay. That's about it, really. I'm also intrigued to see if by the end of the first season they make Stephen gay again. Other than that, no. I'm not really looking forward to next week's episode. It's kind of a habitual thing, but will it be pleasurable? No, probably not. This episode, to me, was such a disappointment from the previous week. I don't know. I might give it a 2 out of 5, which is not very good. I mean, was it below average? Yes. Was it absolutely awful? No. This isn't the worst season of television I've sat through. And I don't know if anything can surpass the worst season of television I've sat through. Although, I don't know. This is a long study. Maybe some of the later seasons will be just as awful as the season I'm thinking about right now. Anyway, guys. I'll catch you next week. And yeah, we're getting very close. We've got 4 episodes left this season, but 6 more weeks. We'll see what happens by the end of the season. Talk to you later.